when it comes to our awareness, when it comes to our consciousness, when it comes to our connection with the all, you have to understand, brothers, that there are levels to this thing, right? You know, just like in my masterclass, the recipe, you have to understand, like for example, when I said that meditation is the cousin of sleep. Sleep is the sister of death, and death is the highest level of consciousness. You have to understand, man, that those same levels take place when you're talking about connection with the all, when you're talking about that oneness, right? And when I talk about this, man, I like to call this, the circles of consciousness or the circle of connection, right? You have to understand, man, that for example, you have to understand that when we're first born into this world, man, people say that people are born into sin and you're a born sinner. That's incorrect. You have to understand that when you first come out the womb, man, you are in a state of perfection. That's pretty much the smallest window when you come and you're in the physical body and you're in the most enlightened state. I mean, you just came from source energy, man. So understand this. You aren't born in a sin. You have to understand that when I'm talking about this ring of consciousness, these rings of awareness or connection, you have to understand that when you first come here, you're at the bullseye. You're in zero frequency. You're in the tightest connection with the all, man. But you got to understand that as we grow older, man, like life, situations, our families, scenarios, religion tend to push us toward the outside ring. And when I talk about this ring, man, in your mind, you have to, the only way I can say it is to picture like the Target logo. You got 2 or 3 rings, and in the middle, you have this bullseye, which is the goal, which is zero frequency, right? But you got to understand, man, like the majority of people will spend their lives on this outer ring. And what this outer ring looks like is, like, this is when most people just live their life in a trance. And when I say a trance, like, this is when most people just live their lives and they're governed by the news. They're governed by the data that comes on social media. They're still governed by the articles in the newspaper. And this is their truth. This is the fuel that they use to base their movements on. You know what I'm saying? This is what they're governed by. And to a lot of people that are made aware, these people kind of just roam around the world, and they're just in a spaceless trance. The stuff that we talk about, like the authors like Napoleon Hill, Wallace Waddles and Neville Goddard, Charles Sanders, all the information we talk about, these people have no idea this type of information even exists. When they see people creating their own lives, they're looking like, how do they do that? Like how does that person seem to just be immune to everything that's going on and can just thrive in bad economies and do all this stuff? They have no idea, man, that there's, there are bits and pieces of information that people live by to move like that, right? But that's not to say that the outer ring is bad, man, because, each ring, man, you're supposed to extract something from that, right? And when you're in this outer ring, man, even though you're in this foggy state, even though a lot of these people, man, are really just oversaturated and completely lost in a religion, you have to understand, man, there are some good things you are supposed to extract from this information. For example, the text we read, a lot of the things we read from the Bible, a lot of the things we read from the Quran and all the holy books, man, you're supposed to hold on to that data when you elevate in consciousness. A lot of that stuff, man, a lot of people are preaching from the wrong state of mind when you're getting this information, but you're supposed to hold on to that stuff, man. Because when you get to that next level of consciousness, you can relook at that stuff again for the first time. And I'm talking about this second level of consciousness now. Once you elevate, once you get to the point where you become aware, you're living in a completely different world, man. You're living in a completely different world. You're now seeing the world as a completely different place. You know what I'm saying? You're made aware. And when I say made aware is, what I'm saying is, you know, for example, when people refer to the Jesus that lived 2,000 plus years ago, you become aware that, hey, you know what? I understand now that Jesus that I learned about in the first level. Now that I'm in this second ring, I'm understanding now that Jesus was referring to the other half of myself. And once I embrace that, understand it, now I can see the whole world for something different. Now I can start understanding the laws that govern this world. And I'm telling you, in that second ring, man, you're attached to a completely different level of understanding, man. This is when the things that come on the news, the information on social media, the fire and brimstone that the politicians talk about are coming. You're immune to it because you're surfing on a completely different wave now, man. But this is the thing about this middle ring, man, that it took me a while to observe. Like a lot of people, a lot of us, right? A lot of us tend to think that, when we talk about a connection with source energy, we tend to look at the people that, maybe have the biggest of things, maybe have the shiniest of belts, and call that awareness. And call that, a connection with God, or call that blessings. But you have to understand that when you're in this state and you understand the laws, you have to understand, man, that everyone's mission, everyone's highest version of self is going to be different. You know what I'm saying? And it takes a lot of people a long time to understand this, man. And a lot of people will get lost in the sauce not understanding this. You can have people living completely different lifestyles, and both people are completely tuned in. Both people are completely tied in the law. Both people have a complete connection with source, right? This second ring, man, is a beautiful place to be in, man. This is the place, man, where you can create the things you want. You can tap into the highest levels of the versions of yourself, right? It's a beautiful place. But what most people need to understand is, like, there's a deeper level of connection. There's a deeper level of connection with the all. And that's what I'm talking about, that inner ring, that bullseye. I'm talking about that energy of zero frequency. I'm telling you, man, if you haven't experienced that, brother, I'm telling you, it's something that you really can't even explain to people unless they vibrate it there. Unless they vibrated there. And like we were talking about in the power circle the other day, man. I said that has to be every man's objective, man, is to get through those rings and find that place of zero frequency, man, because that's where everything is. That's where everything is. And if I could explain what this state of zero frequency is like, I can remember when I was I'm not sure if I was mid-20s, just now separating myself from religion, or if it was when I was 30, 31 years old when I found myself, hitting the bottom. I'm not sure when it was, but there was a point in time when I said, you know what, like all my life, I've been told that, in the afterlife, I'll be going to this quote unquote heaven, right? And when I get to this heaven, man, there'll be streets of gold, and there'll be mansions, and there'll be, milk and honey, and there'll be 10 virgins, there'll be all this good stuff, man, that'll be present for me to just indulge myself in, right? There came a point in life, man, where I said, you know what, man, like those things don't interest me anymore as far as like the afterlife. It's like I've learned now that I can obtain those things now. I can obtain homes and nice things and beautiful women here. Like, why do I want to, do a certain thing here, move a certain way here just to get to the afterlife, and that's my reward? I said, brother, that doesn't interest me anymore. I said, man, whenever I get to the afterlife, I said, whenever this third dimensional realm is done for me, I said, all I want to do, man, is just sit in the midst of the energy I came from. I said, that's paradise for me. I just want to sit next to the Creator, man, and feel abundance and feel unlimited love and feel, what it feels like to have absolutely no fear. I said, brother, there's no higher vibration than that. There's no material thing, no house, car, woman, anything, streets of gold in paradise that I could experience that will be higher than that frequency of just submerging myself back in source. right? And that became the way I started to live. I said in my afterlife, that's what I'm going for, right? But then I came across the teachings of the Kundalini. And the Kundalini said, you know what? As above, so below. And I believe somewhere in the Bible it says, you know what? The things or the energy or the frequency, right, that you experience in heaven, it says you can experience those same things on earth. So I said all that to say, man, when I'm talking about living in a state of zero frequency, when I'm talking about that inner, that deepest ring of consciousness or connection with all, I'm talking about bringing the frequency of heaven on earth. I'm talking about no vibration. I'm talking, in other words, what I'm saying is this. We all know that this world is created by the swinging of the pendulum. I'm talking about getting in that state of mind and energy and everything where that pendulum no longer swings. It's constant energy. And when I talk about that I am, that's what I'm talking about. Where there are no other options of things to happen. That's God energy, bro. That's zero frequency. And this is the thing, man. A lot of people will find themselves tapping into that and then coming out. But then they're like, you know what? Like, why am I in and out of that thing? I can think back over times in my life, man, where I was fully submerged in that energy. And next thing I know, man, I just pretty much came to it and I found myself out of it. Still in a good place, still in a place of control of my surroundings and can control and create my own world. But I wasn't in that true energy again. I wasn't in that wholeness of zero frequency, bro. And I begin to say, man, like, what is it that keeps a man from staying in there, man? Because that has to be that has to be the ultimate goal. Is to get in that energy and reside in it to death, man. And the reason people can get in that and come out of it is because you know, a lot of people forget about the information we were supposed to extract from the middle ring. You know, like I say, from the outer ring, man, extract the text, extract the sermons, right? In that middle ring, when you start understanding the law, you can't forget about the law, man. Because once you get in this zero frequency, once you get this connection, brother, it's a high. You almost think that you are immune to everything, and you are. But you have to understand, you're still subject to the law. This is biblical, man. Think about when, and I don't know what the scenario was. I don't know what was taking place, what they were questioning the messenger about. But I guess they understood that he was a high vibrational being. And they was like, did you come to like discredit the law? Or however they said it. He said, no, man, like I come to fulfill the law. Like, of course y'all know who I am. Of course y'all know I'm in cahoots with the Most High. Of course y'all know I'm the highest representation of what humanity is. He says, I'm still subject to the law. You know, I'm still here to fulfill the law, man. So that's the thing that I noticed, man. Once we get into this zero frequency, we have to remember, man, that we're still operating in this third dimensional plane, brother. So I said that to say this. This is what makes it so hard to stay in zero frequency, man. Because when we're talking about the law, you know, we're talking about, you know, when you're talking about the law of polarity, when you're talking about rhythm, when you're talking about the law of vibration, you have to understand, man, that's how things are created. Once you understand this stuff, man, you understand how things are created. But this is the thing, man. Knowing that, you really have to understand this, brothers. I really want y'all to hear this, man. You have to understand that every single thing that you interact with on this planet is a representation of 50% of the world you experience. I'm going to say it again a different way, man. You have to understand that everything on this world and on this planet vibrates. You have to understand that the pendulum is always swinging. You have to understand that that's how things are created. So anything that you interact with, the pendulum is swinging between you and that person, place, or thing. That's how things are created. So you have to understand that anything that pendulum is swinging between is representing 50% of your creation, man. You really have to understand that, bro. What do you mean, soul? For example, brothers, when you go to when you go to a club, a restaurant, a cigar lounge, a sports bar, whatever, when you go to these places, when we go to these places, you can walk in a place, man, that place has a vibe about it. It has an energy associated with it. Sometimes it can be very high, positive people. Sometimes it can be very low. A lot of times it doesn't even matter about really what's taking place there. There's an energy housed there. Like I can go to some restaurants, man, where it's like the food is pretty good. The food is not bad. Like, I have no complaints. But the energy here is different, man. The feng shui here, man, it doesn't work for me, man. You have to understand that when you visit those low vibrational places and you think you just leave and you're frequenting them on a regular basis, brother, the world that you experience on a daily basis has 50% of that energy in it. It's a real thing, brothers. You have to understand that the brothers you hang with, man, their morals, their values, their habits, their vibration represents 50% of the world that you see. There's a quote, and I'm going to butcher it, when they say, hey, you know what? Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Brother, there's science behind that. Because that pendulum is, like I just said, that pendulum is always swinging between you and everything you interact with. So you can hang with the low vibrational brothers that are doing things that aren't on your level or within your mindset, right? You have to understand, man, your association with them brothers, your constant affiliation and hanging out with them brothers is a representation of 50% of your world, man. And that's what takes people out of that zero frequency. Think about this, bro. Think about the women you entertain. This is what most men really don't understand, man, when it comes to women. You have to understand, brothers, that a woman is pretty much a satellite. A woman is pretty much a magnifier. In other words, brother, when you're interacting with these women, you really, and I'm talking about interacting, I don't care if it's just text, time, or God forbid, sexual energy exchange. You have to understand, man, that when you meet these women and you're interacting and exchanging energy with these women, you have to understand that woman is getting ready to magnify your life. In other words, 50% of what you stand on is going to be represented in what you see. But at the same time, man, 50% of her morals, her values, her movements, her thoughts, her action are going to be represented in your world too, man. You really have to understand that. I said all of that just to say this, man. To stay in zero frequency, what that means is, again, it's not that people are voluntarily walking out of this highest level of connection. It's that people are forgetting the law. So what that means is you can't interact. You can't exchange energy. You can't connect with anything that's not in connection with zero frequency as well. In other words, if it doesn't vibrate in that state of wholeness, of no fear, of no lack, of full abundance, brother, you can't entertain it, or that pendulum is going to pull you out of it. It's going to pull you out of it, man. I'm telling you, brothers, we have to be, first off, we have to be aware of this deeper level of connection, man. This deeper level of oneness. We talk about oneness all the time, man, but until a man fully submerges himself and actually becomes one with zero frequency, that stillness, that place where there is no vibration, brother, he really doesn't understand, that highest level of consciousness we can achieve in this world, right? So the thing is this, man, to obtain that, to maintain it, what one must do is check everybody, check everything at the door. Again, in order to achieve and maintain that zero level of frequency, what one must do is check everything, check every place, check every person at the door. As soon as you begin to interact with something, man, you have to say, you know what? Like, where are you vibrating? Are you vibrating in that stillness? What are your morals? What are your values? What are your beliefs? What are what fuels you? What fuels you? Or are you fueled by the material things on this planet? Because if you are, you're getting ready to pull me out of this sacred space that I'm not trying to come out of. You know, are you fueled by the vices that fill the void? Because now if the pendulum is swinging between me and you, you're getting ready to pull me out, man. I fully understand now when people disappear in the Himalayas, when people go into the middle of the woods in their cabin, or when people buy billion-dollar mansions and kind of just vanish. I understand why people do that now, man. Because what they're saying is, you know what, this place that I'm in, it's so constant. What people are saying is, man, this place is so real that I don't want to come out of it. I don't want to come out of this place, man. I'm telling you, brothers, we have to be made aware, man.